Okay. All right. How we doing, Karen? How does the light board look? How's the switchboard look? Are we green? Okay. You just say no. No, you just say when, okay? Oh, here we go again. We're live, aren't we? I'm just gonna fire you one of these days. I'm gonna do the countdown. Let's do the countdown, Karen, and then we'll fire up the cam, okay? Let's do this. All right, on my mark. You ready? Are you ready? Okay. Green light. 3, 2, 1. Yo, what is going on, Arkansas Razorback fans, SEC fans everywhere? Welcome to the one and only Pig Trail Network live stream. It is Flamingo Friday. Got the shirt, got the shades, looking, a little hairy, but doing what I can with what I've got. We are early today. We had to go live early. We've got some stuff going on in the Hudson household that I got to get taken care of. So I had to go live a little early. Hope you guys can forgive me. But I do appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by and being here and taking part of the PTN Flamingo Friday show, which by the way was has been going on now for like 6 months, right? I mean, we're coming up on that bad boy. Tato31 says cool breeze. All right. What's going on? Blaze or Blake TV, HGR official. How you guys doing? Welcome. Thank you for commenting. We have a pretty, we got a few things we got to discuss. I did not update since Google updated the YouTube, like the live format for the like when you're setting your show up, they completely take out the part of the where you go in and you edit like the name of your show, like it just goes right live. So you got to go through and actually. I'm not digging this new YouTube setup like at all. I don't like it. I like it when the template's there and it's like, don't forget to name your damn show, Ty, because you're gonna forget. And I do every time since this stupid update. Timothy Henderson looking fly, Ty. I know it's Flamingo Friday. Thank the gods we have a Friday. I don't have a cold beer in my hand though. That's what I'm lacking. I might need to go grab a White Claw. Okay. I know that's not a beer, but I want a White Claw regardless. They are tasty once they hit the lips. It's Friday when the visor is out. You damn right. The shades are out, and I need a haircut. Look at that. Look at that hair. The locks, they're flowing. The shades are glowing. Oh, and the shirt is blowing. Oh, yeah. Hog in football and basketball gonna handle. I hope you're right, Jeffrey Howard. I hope you're absolutely right. Okay. First off, thank you for being here. Don't forget to if you've got any questions, please. Well, leave me a question down below. Feel free to comment. I'll try to keep up with chat as best I can. The goal is to be 30 minutes. I say that every time, and we always go over, but that's the goal. We're gonna try and make it 30 minutes. By God, I'm gonna make that. We're gonna try and make that happen. It's 4:00 now, 4:03, so 4:30. Set the alarms, set the timer. I'm gonna try and be over with it, or try to end this thing by that time, so that way I can go handle my business. So, and if you guys haven't already, feel free to tap the subscribe button. Check out all the links to all the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much. I know we get people that are like, what is Patreon? It's the monthly, it's just being a part of the Pig Trail Patreon. Like, it's $4 a month minimum. If you want to give a little more, you can, but the minimum is $4. And it just the money goes towards the channel. Keeps things rolling here when I got to make updates and do things, with like the video editing software. It also helps pay for Adobe Photoshop. It helps pay for, the software itself and just being able to do this. It helps the channel out. But if you don't want to do that, I understand it. But I've had people DM me, can I do something else? Yes, there's a PayPal. You can throw a one-time donation that way if you got a PayPal. No, I don't do any of the other Cash Apps. I'm sorry. I'm not cool like that. If the Hogs win a game this season, you got to have that face clean and wear the white shoes. My face is clean. What the hell? What? My face is clean, Trip. I shower twice a day, brother. What up, Tyzel? What's up, Hoyt? How you doing, man? All right. First off, I want to cover what the Razorbacks, well, the trash talking going around the SEC. So, as you guys know, if anybody, I don't know where my magazine's at, my Athlon magazine. I don't know where it's at. Thought it was here on the table somewhere. But Athlon will ask random coaches, head coaches, their thoughts on other teams. They were not very kind to Arkansas this year. Shave. Oh, no. That word's not even in my vocabulary, Trip. That's why I was lost. I didn't know what you're talking about. That word's not in my vocabulary. Shave, please. I'm a man. I have a beard. Okay? I chop down trees with my bare hands. Right? I pick up big logs out of the woods and do manly stuff. Okay? I have a beard, my man. Clean, please. Words not in my vocabulary. So, as we know, Athlon Magazine does this thing. Well, Saturday Down South reported today, and this just went live like an hour ago. Arkansas coaches anonymous coaches burn Arkansas. A roster looks like NCAA sanctions hit them. Like, yeah, okay, very funny. It does look that way. I mean, if we're being honest. But it says the caption, or the first paragraph rather, it's talking about Arkansas has turned the page from the Chad Morris era to the Sam Pittman era. However, the Pittman era has been delayed due to the coronavirus. Canceling spring practice hurts all coaches, but Pittman's Hogs could be hurt the worst. The Razorbacks are scheduled to kick the season off against Georgia on September 26th. ESPN FPI only gives the Hogs an 8.8% chance to win the game. I mean, why? I don't even know. Like, most teams are probably going to be sub 15% against Georgia that are playing them, especially the teams out of the East. You know, like Vanderbilt, I'm sure. I'm sure South Carolina will be pretty low. But AthlonSports.com recently spoke to some anonymous SEC coaches, and their comments prove that Pittman has a tough job rebuilding the roster and the program. So, and of course, this being anonymous, I hate anonymous sources. You know, we covered the football, the Twitter. There's a website and a Twitter handle that's dedicated to former players, basically throwing their coaches and their staffs under the bus. Like, you know, if they transfer out or whatever, or if they're former players and maybe they've moved on, but they're all anonymous. And we heard this about Chad after his first year, and there were a lot of rumors as to who that player could have been. They threw Chad under the bus. At the time, we defended Chad, and I still do. Like, I'm always going to defend against an anonymous source. It's like you have no credibility if you use this anonymous source. So I've always taken this Athlon. You know, again, they do this every year in their magazine. I've always taken what they say with a grain of salt. Because I could literally, or any of the guys at Hawk Talk, could literally make up some random bunch of BS and then type anonymous source next at the very bottom. According to an anonymous source. It's so ridiculous. But it is Athlon Magazine, so SDS, SaturdayDownSouth.com, wanted to run this, and they did, which I kind of, like, what's the point, really? But I'm covering them reporting on this as though it's some sort of, like, shock that other coaches are surprised that Arkansas, or the things that these coaches say, or, you know, these coaches say about Arkansas, as though we're all supposed to be shocked. You know, I don't know. Like, I kind of thought SDS, I don't know the point of them publishing this. I can understand if it was a Razorback media source. I don't know. Then again, they do cover primarily the SEC. Okay, so AthlonSports.com recently spoke to anonymous SEC coaches. Hang on just a second. Make sure my there we go. Make sure everything's up on my. There we go. Okay. One coach says it's a total mess from top to bottom. Well, no kidding. The switching schemes over the last few years certainly didn't help things too much either. the team went from power running game under Brett Bielema to a spread it out attack under Chad Morris. Okay, well, first off, at least Bielema had a power eye offense that worked for a little while. I mean, it got the job done. They won some ball games, and then it all went to hell. We know that, right? But the power eye, the ground pound, the ground game was pretty damn effective. I mean, you look at Alex Collins, his productivity over the years, Jonathan Williams, they were very productive in the run game. So much so that I think it was after Collins' second year, or was it his first year, when ESPN dubbed Arkansas running back U. Now obviously that's not just because of Collins. That was because of Darren, Peyton, and Felix Jones, and Niall Davis, and the history of running backs over the past decade up until that point. But then Collins goes out and has a wonderful season. Jonathan Williams does the same thing a little while later. Like, things were going pretty good. So for them to be like, oh, well, they go from the unsuccessful running game to the spread it out attack, like nothing worked, that's BS. It did work to a point. It was obviously that last year where things went south for Brett Bielema when he lost. You were removed from Sam Pittman, and everything went terrible. You hired Kurt Anderson, still one of the most bizarre hires for a position coach I've ever seen. A guy who's never been a position coach, as far as I know, up until his attraction was the NFL. I think that was what Brett Bielema had said to the media. His attraction was the fact that he has the connection. Well, he was with the Bills, right? Wasn't that the case with Kurt Anderson? And he was like an assistant offensive line coach, I think, for the Bills. Still the most bizarre hire. Obviously didn't work out. Things tanked. Brett Bielema, I think, got burned out on competing in the SEC, and it just didn't work. Chad Morris, the man said it himself repeatedly, so much so that it's a joke amongst Hog fans. He only ever had 30% of the offense installed, and you had a bad, horrible, horrific hire in Chad Morris. So what? That means you're essentially you're changing the offense, but does that mean you're just not ever going to be successful as long as you change offenses? Like, that happens every year. I don't know. It sounds like Muschamp. What's the identity of this program? A coach asked. Are they hard-nosed, smash-mouth? Well, obviously not. He says that didn't work. Are they going to beat you with the spread and tempo and use Texas kids? That didn't work. This is why I really think a staff member just pulled that out of his ass. I think that is the most. What coach would say that? First off, what coach, assistant, position coach, coordinator, who would say something like that? Of course you change identity. You've got a whole new scheme, a whole new philosophy. And of course we don't know what they are because we haven't had a typical offseason yet. We haven't had anything typical happen yet. We've had COVID-19, dumbass. What do you expect? What are they? Well, of course we don't know. We've not seen anything yet. You got a whole new staff in here. You got a whole new play caller, a new philosophy. As far as him saying a hard-nosed, smash-mouth team, that didn't work. Again, I go back to what I said earlier. It did for a couple of years, and then it fell apart. I love it when people act like it was a complete 100% failure. I don't think that's entirely accurate with Brett Bielema. Chad Morris was a complete failure. Top to bottom, there's no excusing that. So, and then he says, are you going to beat the spread? Are they going to beat you with the spread and tempo and use Texas kids? That didn't work. Well, if you know the history of Arkansas football, when they're at their best, it's when Central Arkansas is producing talent, when you can nab a kid or two out of Fort Smith, out of the River Valley, and when Northwest Arkansas is producing talent, when you have those three elements, and then you can reach into Dallas, Fort Worth, you could reach into parts of eastern Texas. That is typically the blueprint to success at Arkansas. So it has actually worked before. Of course you're going to have a pipeline and you're going to use it if you're able to go into Texas and grab some kids. Kendall Briles, this is from another coach. Kendall Briles now takes over the offense, and he's known for a potent attack. Still, any offense to be successful has to have guys who can bust a grape. What? And one anonymous coach isn't even sure they can do that. I don't know that I've ever heard that in my life. Bust a grape? I don't know. I like that at least he gave some respect to Kendall Briles. So here's another comment. Offensive coordinator Kendall Briles is a strange hire, another coach said. Was it a strange hire when Florida State hired him? They don't have the bodies to run that system. And he's had chemistry issues on other staffs. This sounds like a Florida State, some fan who's a Florida State fan who's just pissed off that he left and didn't have success there. And he's had chemistry issues on other staffs. That hire told a lot of coaches that Sam wasn't alone in making the decisions. Maybe that's true. There could be, and I'm not even saying that Kendall Briles is going to work out, that Sam Pittman's going to be the next Houston Nut or whatever. I'm not saying that, but some of these, I don't know. Again, it just goes back to anonymous coaches. Like, how much credit do you really give, or anonymous sources, rather. How much credit do you really give anonymous sources? That they landed, and this is another coach, that they landed on Sam Pittman is really telling. He's a well-respected career assistant who is great at his job, but it's hard to find what he can say or do with that program that could suddenly turn things around. They've got no personnel. The roster right now looks like NCAA sanctions hit them, one coach said. So no one was going to come in here and immediately turn around Arkansas. If that's if I don't know. Again, that sounds like a fan from like Ohio State, like something some blue collar program fan would say. You don't expect an immediate turnaround. An immediate turnaround, in all honesty, is winning one game this year. That's all Hog fans really. At the end of the day, that your expectations should be between 1 and 3 wins, and that's no one's asking him for an immediate turnaround. Or to suddenly turn things around, as he said. So I thought what was said here, a lot of it was BS. There's some good points made. Again, we don't know if Pittman's going to be the guy. Briles, I don't know why anyone would call that a strange hire. I think it's strange to say something like that. Briles was pretty well respected as an offensive coordinator. I don't know what would prompt someone to say something like that. Hey, I've got a great idea. I think I'm going to say that that's a strange hire in this interview, which I'm going to be an anonymous source for. Yeah, so I thought I'd bring that up. I don't know. People have a weird. I'm not going to repeat that, but that's pretty funny, Trip. I like that. Laugh now, Pittman will roar, says Hoyt. Let me get caught up on chat here. Mark Douglas says, painful Sunday down south article headline, anonymous coaches. Oh, okay. Sorry I'm late. I don't know. You guys don't have to apologize for being late. Like, you're here. That's all. I love that. You're here. That's great. Ready to see that 3-2-5 defense. Yeah, people have a weird hate for the Hogs. Anonymous sources equal people who don't know what they're talking about. Timothy Henderson says, who will shine on the defensive line? I think you could have a couple. I think Dorian Gerald's going to be someone you want to keep an eye on, and obviously Mathew Hestand. Anonymous source equals scared to put their name to it. Isn't that the truth? I feel like journalists say anonymous source is a way to hide the fact that they made that shit up themselves. I agree. Just billboard material, says Alex. Bust a grape in a fruit fight. Okay. I'd never heard that before, to be honest. Again, this is something Athlon Magazine does every year. It's not really a shock, but I don't know. I kind of thought those comments were unnecessary. Like, really, for anyone to say that Briles was a strange hire, that's a strange. He may not work out. That's one thing. Okay, didn't work out. It is what it is. We'll move on, hopefully, to the next guy if it doesn't work out. Fall camp takeaways so far. So I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the fall camp. Some interesting news, some not so great news, and kind of mixed emotions here with these guys that aren't participating. Trey Knox, Jalen Catalon, Chibueze, and Wana have either been limited to their participation or zero participation among those three. Ricky Stromberg has been working at center. I asked Kyle this on the Hog Talk if this was a threat. From the coaching staff, or if this was really something they want to do, a permanent move. I think it's a little bit of both. Ty Clary has had issues snapping the ball. If you can't get that ball right to the quarterback, if the quarterback has to go out of his way to get the ball and then to do his job, right, to go through his looking at his check downs and doing his typical thing, getting in momentum as a quarterback, it all starts with that snap. Former center right here. I can tell you all about it. It all starts when you snap that ball. And your quarterback's got to be in rhythm when he gets the ball, right? He can't be having to reach for the ball, and you can't have high snaps, you can't have low snaps, sideways snaps. You got to get it right in between the numbers every time. Clary struggled with that. It's understandable to make one or two mistakes, three mistakes all year. Clary was having bad snaps multiple times a game. Now, as far as a blocker, guys, he's a great blocker. He's a solid blocker. His snaps need work. So either you move him to guard or you do something there. But I'm all for moving Stromberg to center if it's going to mean cleaner snaps. Redshirt junior defensive back Monteric Brown has been shown out this week, rumored to have multiple picks so far during camp. So, and I think it was Nikki Chavanel that said that she had witnessed an interception. If it wasn't Nikki, then maybe it was Murphy, calls in on the morning rush. Maybe it was him. Well, someone had said in the media, they only have, I think it's 15 minutes. I think the media gets like 15 or 20 minutes to watch practice. So obviously it's hard to come away with too much because of the limited activity allowed by the media. But sounds like Monteric Brown is showing out. Now, he has been faced with primarily against Mike Woods. I've always felt like Woods, much respect to the young man. I think he's talented. I think he's capable of being one of the top 3, top 4 receivers. But if these were numbers, if this was a matchup against someone like Knox or Burks, that'd be another story. Nothing against Woods. I just think those two are probably I don't know, and I could be wrong. Woods could tear it up this year, but if this were going up against Burks and he's doing that and he's putting up those kind of numbers, he's getting pass deflections and interceptions left and right, then I would definitely be pretty hyped. But at least it's good to hear that Monteric is doing good and not the other way around against Woods. Woods is a capable, more than capable SEC wide receiver, no doubt about that. TJ Hammond showing out at wide receiver during this first week of practice. Briles had mentioned, getting him some time at the receiver position. It's going to be hard for TJ Hammonds to get much productivity out of the running back position with who all you have there in the personnel. It sounds like Spivey. Spivey's been complimented by the media a little while back. There's some heads starting to turn in his direction a little bit. I don't know how he's doing during camp. I haven't heard anything about the running backs, to be honest, but he was starting to gain some momentum just as a popular name among running backs with the media there for a little while a couple weeks ago. Of course, camp starts this week or started on Monday. So I don't really know, but I think he's going to be in the mix. Is Hammond's a more capable running back? And if he is, where does that put him in the lineup? We know he's going to be behind Boyd at the very least. You've got the transfer, who's definitely going to get some time. He's going to be your change of pace back between him and Boyd. So where does TJ Hammonds fit in all this? I don't know. You've got, and this is actually a good problem to have. You're stacked at receiver. I truly believe this is the best receiving core or receiving depth that they've had since Petrino. And that's no disrespect to the Bielema receivers. You had some guys that stood out, no doubt about that. No disrespect to those young men, but I really think the caliber, the talent, the ceiling in that receiving film room is really high. When they go and look at film as a set of receivers, when they're talking with Coach Stepp, there's no doubt that the talent from top to bottom is the best that it's been in a while. Even if you take Burks out of the picture, It's still really talented, but then you add Burks to the equation. It's like they're pretty legit. That's a pretty legit receiving room you got there. Your depth at receiver is nice. So where does Hammonds fit? That's going to be the question. Do you run him simply as a screen guy, a guy who catches smoke screens, tunnel screens out of the backfield? Because when he's out, and look, it seems like every time he has the ball in his hands, he is capable of making big plays. We've seen that from him, limited, but we've seen it because he was rarely on the field. You know, Brett Bielema, we could never figure out what he's going to do with him. Chad Morris never really, could never get it figured out with him. And then there were the rumors that, well, he's just not understanding the offense. And then it was injuries, and then it was just X, Y, Z, and then of course, Rakeem Boyd comes in and just completely takes things over. And you've got these other backs that are cycling out behind him. Where does TJ Hammonds fit in this offense? I think you're going to make room for him if he continues to have big plays like he has this week so far. I think he's caught at least a touchdown or two. And he's only, and I could be wrong on this, but from what I've read, he's only practiced at receiver. So is it a permanent move? I don't know. I wouldn't be against it if it meant getting him out on the field. And look, Bryles has even said before, we're going to be working with 4 and 5 receivers. To some capacity, they're going to be on the field. I'm still curious as to what we see as an offense because he doesn't name his offense. He doesn't call it a pro-style spread. It's more than just one thing or another. So I think he's just really going to work with what he has. And that's why it's so funny to me when people act like there's no talent on this team. There is talent. On the offensive side of the ball, there's talent there. When you've got someone like TJ Hammonds, you remember him out of high school, how highly recruited he was? I mean, he was big time. TJ Hammonds was big time. They've just, you've had issues of getting him consistently on the field. And, again, you could toss it up to injuries, coaches not knowing what to do with him, coaches being lost, surprise, surprise. When you've had a tight end coach as your offensive coordinator for 2 years, it's no wonder why you couldn't figure out what to do with him. So hopefully this staff can get it figured out and work TJ Hammonds into the rotation one way or another, whether that's at running back or receiver. I just think he would be so dangerous at the slot. Maybe he competes with Woods. I don't know. So, Razorback football recruiting update. 6'5", 300-pound defensive tackle Cameron Ball. Now, we read some bad information on the Hog Talk. We thought he was making his decision today at 1. I couldn't get any clarification. To be honest with you, we were rushed. What else is new? But I was rushed. Kyle not so much. But usually, like when he and I sit down to do the recording for the podcast, I'm like, I've just got done dealing with my kids, and I'm trying to find time to just sit down, pull up the old web browser, try and get some, try and text some friends of mine like, hey, what are you hearing? What's the news on this player or that player? And the only news I got back was, oh, hey, no, this is he's going to announce. Actually, that's what I read online. I think it was on Twitter. Someone had said he's going to announce at 1 p.m. today. Not the case. He cut his list down to 5 schools. Now, he is a 3-star. Cameron Ball out of Georgia is a 3-star. He has 40-plus offers. And what information I have from a pretty legitimate Razorback recruiting source, those are definitely on the table offers. Now some of them may be wait and see offers, but these are schools that are definitely interested. Cameron Ball is highly recruited. Apparently doesn't play for a very good team in the state. And but he shows out. Now there's some more confusion about what position he's going to play. If you watch film, and the only film Kyle and I could watch on him was him playing offensive tackle. He's limited on the defensive side, but apparently his coaches know that that's his natural position there in high school, and the University of Arkansas is aware of this. They have offered him to play defensive tackle, not offensive tackle. So again, this is from a pretty good source that he is being offered to play defensive tackle. Now, I am a little surprised by that because I thought they really wanted to stack up more talent on the offensive side of the ball, and it seems like the depth inside the interior defensive line is okay for the next couple of years. Obviously, you want talent. Anytime you can get talent at the position, you're going to take it. But still, you look at the offensive tackle spot, like you're thin, and his offensive tackle film is pretty good. So I think that might be why he has so many offers as well, because he's some schools want him as an offensive tackle and others want him as a defensive tackle. So Arkansas the offer on the table is to play defensive tackle. That's from one source who I trust pretty well. His other 4 schools that he cut, his list, it's Arkansas, then it's Georgia Tech, Illinois, Tennessee, and Arizona State. He does hold an offer from Florida State. You pretty much name a pretty big-time program in that part of the country. They have, if they don't have interest on him, they do have an offer on him. So, yeah, he's legit, and that comes from a couple of different people. He is definitely legit. He's a good player, so hopefully Arkansas can get him. His actual announcement, I think, is in September. I just had that pulled up. I think it's sometime in September. My bad. I thought I had that. Let me see if I can pull that up really quick. Oh, it's 4:30. See, what did I say? What did I say? Is that it? Nope. Well, I had his... Hang on. We're going to find this before... We have one more thing we'll talk about, and then that'll do it. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. Okay. Well, I swear I had it pulled up earlier, and he had his announcement date when he was actually going to announce. It's sometime in September. Somebody in chat's probably going to beat me to it. By the way, if you don't follow the Hog Talk on Twitter, you should. You should follow the Hog Talk on Twitter. Yeah, September 22nd. There we go. Cameron Ball, the 3-star line of scrimmage athlete. You're not allowed to call guys that play both sides on the offensive line, defensive line, or on the line of scrimmage. You can't call them athletes. I think that's bias. Why don't we call them athletes? That's typically why you call an athlete because they play multiple positions on both sides of the ball, right? That's what I was always told or led to believe. But, Cameron Ball, September 22nd, will be announcing his decision. Illinois, Arkansas, Tennessee, Arizona State, and Georgia Tech are on his short list. Okay, last thing. We got a couple more things really quick. 3 Hogs make the Reese's Senior Bowl watch list now there's 250 eligible candidates for this, by the way. So, I mean, nothing to be all, oh my God, but it's nonetheless it's still a hell of something to make here when you consider the names too. Felipe Franks is on this list. Rakeem Boyd shouldn't be a shocker there, and Myron Cunningham. Cunningham isn't too surprising when you realize that the last season, Cunningham only gave up 1 sack in 383 pass block scenarios. 383 passing snaps. He gave up 1 sack. He played at 290 pounds a year ago. He's up to 325 in 2020. How about that? Felipe Franks, it's not shocking when you realize that, you know what, he was someone who could play the quarterback position at the level of Power 5 in the SEC, nonetheless, at Florida. He definitely did some good at Florida. I mean, there's no denying that. The few Florida fans that I know personally have all said, you've got someone who can at least get the job done. He may not excel on a really high level, but that's still someone that the SEC should at least keep an eye on. He's capable of making some things happen. And, of course, Rakeem Boyd shouldn't surprise anybody. The last 2 NFL drafts, 93 selections participated in the All-Star, the Reese's game, by the way, including 10 first-round picks in 2019. Did you know that? I didn't know that. So how about that? Good for those 3. It's a hell of an honor, I'm sure. Also, last but not least, Brett McMurphy had something to say. How about this? NCAA officially approves to allow fall sports student athletes to compete in any amount of competitions this year, whether season in fall or move to spring, and it will not count as a year of eligibility. Will not count. So how about that? You could choose to not play, or you could choose to play and get your year of eligibility back. What are the odds that Felipe Franks comes back now, and what kind of impact does this have on some of these other quarterbacks? I mean, I don't know. Maybe Felipe has a good enough year and he goes pro. I don't know. I know that sounds crazy to say, but maybe he does. You just never know. You never know. Let's see. TJ 2 receivers says Mark Douglas, plus another weapon on the field, especially if they want to slide Burks in a few plays to tight end and roll and isolate and exploit safeties and linebackers. Look at Mark Douglas over here. I think Mark Douglas I think he's a coach, offensive coordinator. Mark, you play much NCAA football? I think you do, Mark. That's a very good analysis. That's a good breakdown, sir. I don't know. You could put Burks anywhere. The guy could play anywhere on the field. And that comes from people who covered him at Hooten's Magazine. Who else is happy with, let's see, with one win as long as we are competitive in the games that we lose? The thing with Chad Morris era was we didn't look like we belonged in the stadium. Right? That's a very good point. I agree. Just and that is a step in the right direction if you win one SEC game because you haven't done that in 2 years. Let me scroll up. Let me get caught up. Something in my eye. There we go. Oh, goodness. Busted grape. That's Modicum energy. Trip. You're a funny guy. How many yards do you think Franks is passing for? Well, considering, you're playing 10 games, all SEC games, I don't know. I'll be happy if he gets north of like 2,200 yards. If he's north of like 2,200 yards, I'm going to pat the man on the back and say good job. I don't know. That's a good question, though. The reason I say 2 or 3 is because just a one-win season could just be a fluke, says Truck MD. Patrick Boatner says my main man back on. I got to know when these live videos start. What's up, Patrick? How you doing, man? And it's 4:30. Yeah, I'm going a little over. Okay, we've got one more thing. I want to know if you guys. I want to know something. Tell me. I want to know. I want you to be honest. What do you think of these shoes? I think they're hideous. They're gross. Like they don't even finish the Nike swoosh. Like it's like the graphic designer just gave up. Would you guys wear these? I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not trying to be like disrespectful here, but they look like something you would see on the feet of people in an old folks' home. I'm not trying to hate, right? We all have older relatives, okay? They look like golf shoes. Thank you. These look terrible. It's like Nike's not even trying. Like, oh, it's Arkansas. Yeah, let's just slap something together. I will say I respect their decision to not use a forward-facing hog. Thank God for that. If they had the FFH on there, I'd just say, throw them in the trash. Are they worth $130 at all? Period. No, those are not worth. That's the cost. They're $130. God, no, absolutely not. Those are hideous. I'm sorry. I know. So, it was a mixed audience when we posted that on Twitter and Facebook yesterday. We had kind of a mixed reaction. I think they're gross. That's just my opinion. What scares me with Felipe Franks is that game he played in 2018 against Georgia. Woof, man. He didn't do good in that game, says Truck. I don't know. What the WTF those supposed to be? I can't support those. Forward-facing hog is cool, though. Trip, you are now banned out of our Discord. I'm kidding. I'll let even people who like the forward-facing hog in our Discord. Forward-facing hog is gross. It's gross. Okay, we're done. I only went 10 minutes over. No big deal. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. To the Patreon supporters, to PayPal, all you guys, and everyone in chat. You're all rock stars. Thank you so much. Trip, seems like every other one of your comments get held for review, buddy. You got a filthy mouth on you, sir. You guys have a good weekend. So there could be a change on the schedule. Next week, school starts. My hands are going to be so full from here on out throughout the rest of fall. I do plan on going live on Monday night. If anything changes, I'll try and let you know in Discord and on Twitter. So now time to listen to the Hog Talk. Yeah, go listen to HTP. The latest episode is down below in the description box if you guys want to check that out. Again, thank you guys so much. Please feel free to tap the subscribe button if you haven't already. You guys have a good